Hello and welcome to week 10 in biopsychology and welcome back from spring break. I do want to tell you that going on a cruise is not a restful vacation. I am more tired now than I was when I left, but it was a great time. I hope you had a great time off, whether it was restful or running around like a chicken like I was. And I hope you had a great time. And here we are entering back into our study of biopsychology here with chapter 8 on movement. Okay, and so movement describes, the process not only in the brain but with the spinal cord, moving out to the peripheral nervous system in both afferent and efferent nerves, moving information out to our muscles in order to bring about movement. And kinds of it. There's purposeful movement, like the way I use my hands, the way I'm talking, and those things. And then there's unconscious or movement I'm unaware of, like the diaphragm in my lungs continuing to breathe, my food is being digested right now, and my heart is beating. Really glad that I don't have to think about that for that to happen automatically. Now, what I do want you to do, we're going to do a little bit of what we call introspection. Talked about this earlier in the class when we talked about the early studies of psychology and biopsychology, people paying very, very close attention to what they're doing and feeling and sensing at any given time. What I want you to think about is a habitual sort of or a patterned behavior. And we are, as a species, very linked to specific patterns in our life. We tend to do things the same way. Once we have a routine, we tend to do things the same way. That could be problematic when we become addicted, but it's usually very efficient in terms of how we go about doing something. So the example I like to use is when we're taking a shower. There is probably, if you take notice, and you'll probably mess it up for a couple of days if you take notice. Once you notice it, you start messing it up. But there's probably a sequence of body parts that you wash and the order that you do them in. You might do your hair first, then your face, then your arms and your legs, and then your torso. There's an order that you do sort of like each time. Maybe there's an order for making your coffee in the morning. You set out the cup, you set out the sugar, the cream, start the coffee maker, go take your shower, come back. There might be a routine that you're going in. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about that movement, but at a very, very deep sort of physiological way in terms of all the movements that are involved. They're actually incredibly complex. When you think about preparing a cup of coffee, you do it very automatically, but there are literally thousands of movements that you make in precision to make a simple act like that happen. And that's why little kids can't make you a cup of coffee. They're going to be spilling things all over the place, and there you are. And it's really cool when you think about when unexpected things happen. The spoon falls on the wrong part of the table or something like that. You're there, pick it up right up, you go right. You can just smooth as silk, just return to that normal procedure. I want you to be very aware of all your hand movements, all of your shoulder movements. I'm thinking of the coffee one. Doing all of this stuff and describe in as much detail as you can each one of those steps that you take. Now, if you say, I pick up the spoon, swirl my coffee, drink it, not enough. If you say 1,000 things, it's probably accurate, but it's too much. So I want a good long description of all the different pieces just as an appreciation of the complexity of these movements. So I might say, talk about doing a shower, but what you might do is just talk about how you wash your hair or how you wash your hands and just being aware of how you brush your teeth. Maybe even only half of that, and you'd have a plenty good description for that kind of behavior. Okay, next, the quiz actually has you explain the relationship between exercise, fatigue, and aerobic and anaerobic processes, fast and slow twitch fibers in your muscles. And I have to admit, I made an error. It was pointed out by one of the students very early in the week, last week, that in my course book, I have those backwards. So for this particular question, You need to go to the textbook to get the information for this. And it might even be, I have to look into the quiz and find out if I have the quiz grading it wrong. I will take care of that. I want you to don't rely on the course book for that particular question. I made an error and got them mixed up. And so that's it. You have the discussion where you're sharing about the specifics of a habit, and then you have the quiz on the relationship between anaerobic and aerobic twitch muscles and how that leads to fatigue and the sense of fatigue in some of our muscles, but not in others. My heart really doesn't get tired because there's a continual oxygen flow into that area. Whereas, walking around Honduras was tiring. And at the end of the day, I was really tired. Those muscles that I used to navigate purposefully around the world had fatigued. They had run out of their oxygen supply, and they were hurting. So that is our week this week. Take care of yourself. We're in the point in the semester where really, I kind of sort of think about it as kind of like the back curve on the racetrack here, where we're not in this home stretch yet. We have 6 weeks left of class, inclusive of this week. And there's plenty of time, lots of new things to learn. We're still, 2/3 of the way through the semester, so still 1/3 to go. And lots to do, but this can be kind of a place where you have to take your vitamins, get rest, get outside. The sun's starting to be out now. Take advantage of that, going outside to recharge yourselves, to make for a good around that last curve so we can get into the stretch, getting everything done, and we can enter into the summer with great grades, which would be great. What a great way to start the semester. Okay, so that's it for this week. Be well, and I will see you next time.